Good afternoon. Hope that your day has been going well so far. Thank you for tuning in for another daily dose of encouragement. I pray that you, your loved ones, are all doing well and appreciate the time that you're taking out of your day. And I pray that you do each and every day uh, look to the scripture and spend quality time digging deeper and growing in understanding and wisdom of God's will and knowing more and more about who God is. So, what I want us to do today is look at a uh, familiar passage, hopefully, to you, is in the book of Genesis. We're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 41, and we're going to be reading quite a number of verses, but this is where Joseph really shines, or really God shines through Joseph, if you really want to uh, see it that way, because that's what really truly happened. So let us look at Genesis chapter 41, and then we'll make some comments. Now it happened at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he was standing by the Nile. Just to kind of give a quick just context, at this time, Joseph was in prison for something that he did not commit, that he was charged with mistreating his master's wife, but he did not lay a hand on her. So he had been in the prison that he was sent to for at least 2 years. So continuing on in verse 2, and lo, from the Nile there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed in the marsh grass. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them from the Nile, ugly and gaunt, and they stood by the other cows on the bank of the Nile. The ugly and gaunt cows ate up the 7 sleek and fat cows. Then Pharaoh awoke. He fell asleep and dreamed a second time, and behold, 7 ears of grain came up a single stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 ears, thin and scorched by the east wind, sprouted up after them. The thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump and full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. Now in the morning his spirit was troubled. So he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt, all its wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them to Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I would make mention today of my own offenses. Pharaoh was furious with his servant, and he put me in confinement in the house of the captain of the bodyguard, but both me and the chief baker. We had a dream on the same night, he and I. Each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. Now a Hebrew youth was with us there, a servant of the captain of the bodyguard, and we related them to him, related to the dreams. And he interpreted our dreams for us. To each one he interpreted according to his own dream. And just as he interpreted it for us, so it happened. He restored me in my office, but he hanged him. So just as a reminder, you can go back in chapter 40 if you want to see specifically what Joseph told these individuals, but the chief cupbearer here got restored while the chief baker lost his life. Continuing in verse 14, then Pharaoh sent and called for Joseph. They hurried him, brought him out of the dungeon, and when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, but no one can interpret. And I have heard it said about you that what you hear, that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. So Pharaoh spoke to Joseph, In my dream, behold, I was standing on the bank of the Nile. Behold, 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the Nile, and they grazed in the marsh grass. Lo, 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and gaunt, such as I had never seen for ugliness in all the land of Egypt. And the lean and ugly cows ate up the first 7 fat cows. Yet when they had devoured them, it could not be detected that they had devoured them, for they were just as ugly as before. Then I awoke. I saw also in my dream, and behold, 7 ears full and good come up in single stalk, and lo, 7 ears withered, thin, and scorched by the east wind sprouted up after them. And thin and the thin ears swallowed up the 7 good ears. Then I told it to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Now Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's dreams are one and the same. God has told the Pharaoh what he is about to do. And the 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one and the same. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 thin ears scorched by the east wind will be 7 years of famine. It is I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Behold, 7 years of great abundance are coming in all the land of Egypt. And after them, 7 years of famine will come, and all abundance will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will ravage the land. So the abundance will be unknown in the land because of that subsequent famine, for it will be very severe. Now, as for the repeating of the dream to Pharaoh twice, it means that the matter is determined by God, and God will quickly bring it about. Now let Pharaoh look for a man, discerning and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers in charge of the land, and let him exact a fifth of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 years of abundance. Then let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up the grain for the food in the cities under Pharaoh's authority, and let them guard it. Let the food become as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish during the famine. Now the proposal seemed good to Pharaoh and to all his servants. Now we could continue on, but it just quick give the just a summation of what transpires. Pharaoh chooses Joseph to be in charge of this entire task. Um, but we see here, and it is really kind of ironic. Here you have Pharaoh, who's a god to the Egyptians, should be all knowing and all understanding, be able to figure out this situation, these dreams, whatever. He can't figure out what's going on. It just shows how powerless that he is over this situation. He has no clue at all what to do, and he has to use this slave, this servant, to tell him. Now, granted, God gets this everything in motion and provides his providence, and he allows these things to happen. He makes it to where Joseph is going to be able to interpret his dream. But you see how really a strong king in the world against God, there is no comparison. Um, and then you have a slave who, by himself, has no power, um, who was in prison and was given this blessing. And you see, he automatically he says it's not in me. It's God that's going to provide an answer. So he's pointing out to God who the uh, the ability comes from. He said it's nothing for me to do. It's all God. And another point I would make is after he tells the interpretation, he offers up a solution. He's taking a great risk here. Um, he doesn't say, uh, Pharaoh, I have a solution, or he doesn't ask, uh, or Pharaoh didn't ask him, well, what shall we do? At least from our indication from the passage, he just goes right on telling him, this is what you need to do. So he is very bold and confident and trusting in the Lord. To not only you can, he's putting his life in front of, in God's hands, and trusting that whatever outcome, it'll be the Lord's doing. And this is just a good illustration of humility, courage, boldness, um, total reliance on the Lord in a situation. And Joseph is very much Christ-like. Here you see an obedient servant willing to suffer, which he has already experienced suffered for not only the people of his current homeland. It's not really his home, but he is staying there. He's been taken to Egypt. So for this, I guess, well, you could say that it is his home, but his true home was in Canaan with his father, his brothers, and family, which will be what he is seeking to do. And what he will do is um, saving men. So again, very much Christ-like individual. And that's where we can see how Christ is. You know, our sin is our famine. It is our plague of our existence. It no matter how many good works that we do, no matter how many things that may occur in our life that gets us ahead, so to speak, maybe materialistic, or we have a number of friends, or just whatever. It doesn't matter about in this life. Ultimately, sin will destroy us and take us down unless we turn to the ultimate source of our salvation, which is Christ. So I know that went a little long this afternoon. I hope and pray that looking at this passage, and I would encourage you can look at it a little bit further. I know that we didn't complete the chapter, but you can see how it ends up and how Joseph got delivered by God, just how much Christ can deliver us if we make that choice. So if you have any questions or if you have comments, feel free to reach out to us. We want to address any spiritual needs. Reach us at TaylesvilleRDChurchOfChrist.com or our Facebook page right here or our YouTube channel. Thank you again. May God bless you, and most importantly, may you find comfort in the arms of Jesus.